So there's a lot of both substantive horse trading and rhetorical horse trading and rhetorical expectation setting, Anna, let's say, as we head toward Friday.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think any of this should be surprising. Good morning, I'm Anna Palmer.
And I'm Jake Sherman.
And welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchbowl News. It's Tuesday, February 10th, 2026. Let's get into the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, the latest on DHS funding. Hint, hint, there's still no deal. Number two, Johnson faces a tariff rebellion. And number three, we've got the latest in Punchbowl News tech policy. A massive lobbying fight is brewing over media caps. All right, Jake, let's get to it. We are leading Punchbowl News AM, as we likely will all week, as the Senate tries to deal with a way forward on DHS funding. The deadline is Friday. Democrats gave Republicans, kind of behind the scenes what they wanted. Republicans came back to them, but without legislative text. And a statement by Democratic leaders overnight feels like we are not moving very far in the right direction.
Yeah, late last night, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leaders, said that the response from the White House, from Republicans on the DHS offer was inadequate. They said it's incomplete and insufficient in terms of addressing the concerns Americans have about ICE's lawless conduct. Democrats await additional detail and text. They said it included neither details nor legislative text. If they just said it was insufficient and incomplete, then that would be okay. But they said it doesn't have, it's also incomplete in terms of addressing the concerns Americans have. So it's not only that they didn't give text in their view, it was substantively wrong and substantively incomplete, and it was just not there for Democrats. Now, at least they're trading paper, at least I think you could say, right? At least they're in a situation in which they're trading offers, but it's in everyone's interest here to try to make this a real negotiation. Now, the White House, it's tough for me, I'll be honest with you, it's tough for me to divine whether this is a real negotiation or not. And I'm going to really obviously try to get, every day I'm trying to get more information, but the Democrats put out 10 points last week. And, you could argue it either way. They put out a lot of detail. In my view, if they didn't put out those details, they would have gotten criticized. But they did. And now I think Democrats are going to expect that they get all of those things, which is also difficult. The White House wants to make it look like this is a real negotiation as well, because they don't want to be blamed if DHS shuts down. They're going to say, listen, we put out, we were in negotiations. We did our best. We came their way, and they still couldn't take yes for an answer. And Thune is trying to make this seem like it's a real negotiation, too. He's saying, I think we can get Democrats along. Now, Democrats are not going to vote to extend DHS funding at all, even for a short period of time, unless they believe these negotiations are real and there's something to talk about. So there's a lot of both substantive horse trading and rhetorical horse trading and rhetorical expectation setting, Anna, let's say, as we head toward Friday.
Yeah, listen, I don't think any of this should be surprising, right? Like you have at a leadership level from the Republicans and from Trump in leadership to the effort to say, hey, this is for real. They want it. They know that we're going up against a 1-week recess. There's senators who want to get to the Munich Security Conference. And so they're trying to find some momentum, enough momentum that you could find and peel off around 8 Democrats in the Senate to say, okay, we deserve to have another 2 to 4, 6 weeks extension to have this conversation and to move forward. But I think the other challenge also, right, is there are some Senate Republicans in the conservative lane who don't want to cut deals here, Jake. And we should talk about that, because that is a problem. As much as Thune's trying to kind of say, hey, guys, we got the momentum. We're working in good faith. Work with me here. I'm optimistic. I'm trying to kind of find a pathway forward. There are others within his own party who are saying we should not negotiate on core Republican values and belief sets with Democrats on these issues,
including Eric Schmidt, who spent the weekend kind of rapping with President Trump in Palm Beach, playing golf with him and hanging out at his Super Bowl party and flying back with him. I believe he flew back with him on Air Force One. He said it's more and more Republicans see it's not smart for us to be capitulating to Democrats on core issues like taking on illegal immigration. This is a core issue for the coalition that allowed us to have these majorities He said, I don't think that adding 2 weeks or 3 weeks for quote unquote continued negotiations on something that we're not going to just agree to their demands. If anything, I think our position will harden. Now, I do think their position will harden, and that's been the White House's calculus all along, that the further you get from these horrible deadly shootings in Minneapolis, the more Republicans' position would harden against changing ICE policies. And I think that you're seeing that. Interestingly enough, two things. What the Democrats really want here is they want changes to ICE. And they also you get the sense that they kind of want a mea culpa from Trump, which is like, we screwed up in Minneapolis, and for him to say that and act on it. Now, they don't have him saying that, but they have pulled back in Minneapolis. They put Tom Homan in charge here. Like, they have significantly changed their operations. Now, the Democrats' view is, well, that doesn't really matter because Trump could do whatever he wants anyway, and he will do whatever he wants unless it's in law. And by the way, even if it's in law,
he'll probably still do it.
Democrats think he'll probably still do it. Whether he will or not, I don't think we know. At least we don't know definitively. So, number two, just an interesting nugget. Jared Moskowitz, Democrat of Florida, who has been mentioned for FEMA director, but doesn't seem to really like Kristi Noem, for whom he'd be working at FEMA, yesterday told me, I know we put out these 10 points, but if they fire Kristi Noem, they could have my vote. So, so there's a lot of views here, a lot of thoughts. And I will say, I do agree strategically with what Schmidt and Markwayne Mullen are saying, which is, and I think Democrats say this too, there's a desire to keep a tight leash on this and not do like a month-long CR or a 6-week-long CR. But another 2-week CR, it's just not, it's not going to cut it because it takes 2 weeks for Congress to do anything. So, they need to give some time here to negotiate. And I just, I don't think 2 weeks is it.
All right, Jake, let's move on to the number 2 story of the morning. House Republican leaders on the brink of losing a key procedural vote today as Speaker Mike Johnson once again asks GOP moderates to give President Donald Trump a pass on tariffs. Johnson's leadership team added a provision to the rule being voted on this afternoon that bans members from bringing resolutions to the floor challenging Trump's tariff regime. That ban would remain in place until August. This is an extension or a push to extend a strategy by Johnson to not have these tariff votes come up. But with tight margins and some frustrated moderates, only 2 Republicans need to break with the Trump administration and Johnson in order for this all to fall apart.
They have some guts, this House Republican leadership, I'll tell you that much. This has been a big point of contention in the House Republican Conference. Mike Johnson has turned off now for months the ability to bring tariff disapproval resolutions to the floor. Johnson has used rules through the Rules Committee to basically say, from now until X date, this time it's July 31st, so through until August, you cannot bring tariff disapproval resolutions to the floor. Now, obviously, this would be an incredibly difficult vote if they did have tariff resolutions on the floor, because a bunch of Republicans don't like tariffs. Why? Because tariffs are taxes, and Republicans generally don't believe in taxes. So that's why it's a difficult vote. Okay, so Don Bacon, retiring congressman from Nebraska, Kevin Kiley, Republican of California, both told us they're likely to vote against the rule. Now, do I believe they're going to vote against the rule? I don't know. I can't tell the future. But I do think that there are a lot of Republicans who are sick of this, who are sick of Johnson using the Rules Committee to stop the House from exerting its will, from expressing its will. And Johnson's point is, well, the Supreme Court's going to rule. We should give this time. We shouldn't have all these votes on the floor until the Supreme Court rules. A lot of people are saying, well, it's February. We've given this a lot of time. And on top of that, Anna, we've written about this a million times. Republicans, I was talking to a administration official yesterday who said, these guys are good team players, Bacon, Kiley, people like that. The team now is me. The team ain't Team Trump. A lot of these people are like, well, Trump's in the 30s or the 40s on approval ratings. I don't believe in tariffs. Why am I going to continue giving him a pass? What am I doing here? So I think it's becoming increasingly difficult, Anna, for people to uphold Trump's tariff regime. And, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think the biggest problem for Johnson and the Trump administration is the vast majority of Republicans do not agree with what he's doing on tariffs.
Yes.
Full stop, right? They have for a year and change held the line, probably with their, holding their nose, right? They don't like it, but have gone along with the Trump administration on this. But as you get closer to their own election and as they face their own voters on a variety of issues, there's a one thing to stick with them and maybe have to deal with them on things that they really believe in. But it is hard when they know that Democrats are going to hammer them in the midterms on this, particularly if you are from a rural state or a state that is as agriculture or a ton of different industries in manufacturing that have been impacted by tariffs. And so I think this is going to be not only the full force of certainly Speaker Johnson and his leadership team, but it is also going to it'll be interesting to see. I talk about this all the time in this podcast, but as we get closer and closer to the midterm election, how much power and sway does the Trump administration continue to hold over these lawmakers when they are looking at their own kind of future in Congress and whether or not they're going to stick with him or not. And I think it's not a Trump thing. It's every single president deals with this. But what we have seen is Republicans in lockstep move with Trump. And the question will be, is this going to be one of those breaking points or not?
Right. Agreed. Listen, could they flip these Republicans on this rule? They could. But if I'm a Republican member of the House and we're sitting here 9 months ahead of Election Day, is it 9 months? Yeah, it is 9 months.
Every day we do the math in our head.
Math is hard pre 5 a.m. And tariffs are doing what they're doing according to these people. These are Republicans who believe that they're causing price increases. Then why do you keep giving Trump a pass on it? Don't get it, but whatever.
All right, let's go to the number 3 story of the morning. There's nothing more than I love than a lobbying fight. And our tech reporters delivered here. Diego Munoz has been covering this issue for us. And this is a small slice of what our policy subscribers get. But he is reporting now that the Senate Commerce Committee is placing the spotlight on a massive lobbying fight just days after President Donald Trump shook up the debate. The panel is holding a hearing this morning on the national media ownership cap that prohibits broadcasters from reaching more than 39% of U.S. households. Taking center stage in this debate is the Nexstar-Tegna merger that would blow through that threshold and has been endorsed by both Trump and FCC Chair Brendan Carr. What is fascinating here is you have a lot of different companies. You've got cable interests, you've got other networks, you've got conservative networks and executives like Chris Ruddy speaking out against this merger. And all of those sides, because there's a vested interest, if this changes and Congress doesn't act and the FCC moves without it, there's surely going to be court challenges. But Jake, this sets up a fascinating fight because it's not a partisan fight. It really is a massive business issue here.
I got to say, I love the Chris Ruddy thing where he says, Trump wasn't fully informed on this matter. And as more information comes along, we hope that he would reconsider and change his position on it.
Chris, of course, is the CEO of Newsmax, for anybody who is unfamiliar.
Yes, and a Palm Beach friend of President Trump. And I don't know, that is, Trump took a pretty firm and public stance on this issue. I believe it was over the weekend. He endorsed the Nexstar-Tegna merger. Now, this is something that there's a lot of TV ads running on it. It's a big issue. Mm-hmm. And by the way, that ownership cap, the 39% ownership cap, which is now 22 years old, I believe, if that's changed, it's a big deal. That could really shake up the media landscape. And the hearing today is going to be very interesting because all of the dynamics are at play, and it is a great lobbying fight, and I really like this item by Diego.
All right, we will leave it there. Thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you like the Daily Punch, share it on social media, tell your friends. It's the best way for folks to find out about us, and of course, you can go deeper on all these issues by going to punchbowl.news and signing up for our free morning newsletter. Have a great day, and stay safe, everybody.